Website joshlyons.com. You'll find out that Josh grew up on a cattle ranch in western Colorado, learning from America's most trusted horseman, his dad, John Lyons. Training horses was not the family focus at the time, it was raising livestock. But soon John figured out that he could shift gears and switch from raising cattle to training horses. And when he decided to share his training methods with others, Josh was right there with him, learning all he could from America's most trusted horseman. So when it was announced that Josh Lyons was going to be in North Dakota, you can bet our very own Tisa Peak from Dakota Horse Magazine was going to be right there to learn what she could from a man who learned from America's most trusted horseman. Here's Josh and Tisa now.
Hey everybody, we are out at Christian Equine Stables and we are joined with somebody that took, a week to come to North Dakota and help horses in North Dakota, help riders in North Dakota, all the way from Scottsdale, Arizona.
Scottsdale, Arizona.
I'm joined with Josh Lyons of Lyons Legacy. That's a horsemanship, what would we call it? Clinics. Program, training, education. More importantly, yes, education and advocate for the horse. That's why we're here. We're going to interview Josh for a little bit, but tell us your story and how you got started with horses, and then we're going to dive into North Dakota.
Okay. How I got started with horses was everybody knew my dad, John Lyons. And he kind of got me into it, and I ended up kind of growing up with it and, gaining a passion for it.
You had no choice, but you also had to love it.
I did have to love it because my dad didn't want me to do it. He kind of kept pushing me out of it because it's kind of a hard life, and you got to leave your family a lot and do this, and it was a hard life, and you really have to have a love for horses and a passion for them, and that has to come first before you become a teacher, and so he really worked hard, at that, making sure, that this is what I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
So when I started training horses, one of the things I did was what really made me lock on was I was about 13 years old, and we were coming back from a show in Nevada, so it's the middle of nowhere in the United States, at 3 in the morning we pull in this truck stop, and I go in with my dad to like this Denny's or Flying J restaurant.
The greasy spoon.
Yeah, it was somewhere, and I just remember in the middle of nowhere, like at 3 in the morning, and this lady recognized my dad and walks up and starts talking to how much he changed her life and helped him, and I remember what an amazing feeling that was, and I wanted that.
At 13 years old,
13.
You felt that. Most teenagers are thinking something else.
Oh, it was.
You did mention I was listening prior to this, teachers, another name for them is a motivator.
Yes.
So I'm guessing you just grew up with that as your culture. Your dad was always teaching not only horses, but the riders. More importantly, you talked about helping the rider. That needs more attention, obviously, than the horse.
Yes. Everybody wants the idea of change this horse, and then the rider will follow. And we don't. We have to change the rider and then change the horse. But if you don't change the rider first, the horse isn't going to change. So, as a teacher, you have that desire to motivate. We have to motivate them and inspire them to want to be better, and to want to change, and that's the one job of a teacher.
And the same transports over to your training. When you're training different horses, it all comes down, today's a new day.
Yeah.
This is a new experience. Every time you crawl on that horse, you're a motivator in some form or another.
Absolutely. And like I said, every time I climb on the horse, it's new. It's a new day, a new thing, and memory is a bad thing. I can't have memory of what happened yesterday. I can make that horse better every time I climb on it, and that's all my goal. That's all I think about. Is every time I ride, I want to get better, and I want my horse to get better at the same time.
Now, elevation means I don't want the horse's pole above his withers. He can put it anywhere he wants below his withers. If he wants to carry it in the ground, go ahead. If he wants to carry it at his knees, carry it there. If he wants to carry it slightly below his withers, that's fine. But he gets to pick that. That whole area is his. Anything above the withers is mine, and he needs to stay out of my area, I'll stay out of his. So how I do elevation is you divide that neck into 3 sections. This first section breaks the horse at the pole. That's all that does. This section here, this second section, what this section does is controls my elevation up or down in the front end. So if I need to raise the front end or if I need to lower the front end, it comes from this section. The third section is what elevates the horse's back. We're going to focus right now on this second section. Now, the reason that's important that I understand that is when I go to frame, I'm going to frame the horse up, but I'm going to focus right here on this second third until I see that spot start to relax. Once it does, the moment that spot starts to relax, so I keep driving, once that spot starts to relax, I'll release my hands and say, good, stay there. Now again, all I care is that he stays below his withers. If he wants to carry in the dirt, carry in the dirt. If he wants to carry his knees, carry his knees. But if he comes above his withers, I'm going to frame him right back up. Look at that second third of that neck and drive that neck until I see that second third start to relax. And then relax my arms and let him stay in that position down there. I don't want to hold him down there. I want him to find that position. You can tell the difference between putting the horse's head down or making the horse's head go down when it's man-made or when it's horse-made. When it's horse-made, the horse will take his head down and start to relax and leave it down there. When it's man-made, the horse will pull his head down, throw it up, pull it down, throw it up, and it looks like a yo-yo. So again, he gets to decide anywhere below his withers. That's his area. So if I feel him come above it, I'm going to frame this horse up. I'm going to drive until I see that second third of his neck relax and stay forward. Once I see it relax, stay forward. I'm going to relax my shoulders. I'm not going to throw it back to him. I'm just going to relax my shoulder. Again, it's not hard to work with right now because I'm not fighting speed. I'm not fighting direction. I've already taken all that resistance out. So if I feel his neck or his elevation gets too high, I'm going to pick him up, frame him up, watch that second part of that neck until I see that start to relax. Once it relaxes, and I go right there, I'll relax and say, this is your area. You stay in this area. So once he's here, I'll leave him alone.
Well, you certainly have piqued my curiosity, Tisa. Just who could possibly convince a horse trainer like Josh Lyons to leave the warmth of Arizona for the colder and snowy weather of North Dakota? Well, meet Elsabie Hassauer of Muddy Boot Performance Horses of Halliday.
And thanks to Miss Elsabie, who's a local clinician. However, she probably goes to like 4 or 5 states with it. And we'll touch on that in a minute. Okay. But a local clinician, horse clinician from Halliday, North Dakota. And we're out at the Lyons Legacy Horsemanship Clinic that you have helped bring Josh up here. You went and rode with him in Arizona, and somehow Elsabie has this passion to, one, loves horses from the bottom of her heart. An advocate for the horse, but for the human, for the rider, and putting that all together. So we have this magic happening over a 5-day weekend in North Dakota. And just tell us how you met Josh, and we're gonna just go a little deeper after that.
Okay, so I actually met Josh. I actually got to know him through his online program. Troy Chappell was actually the one that told me about him. And I started joining his online program, and I just found it so fascinating because not only could you follow this program, but you can go on once a month and have a face-to-face Zoom call with Josh and tell him all the struggles you have. You can listen into other students with their struggles, and I just thought it was so great.
And it's huge up here because we're far away. We don't get to arenas as much in the winter.
Exactly.
And we can still keep our horse culture
Yeah, so, because there's nothing really happening in winter, so I thought, well, let's join this online program. And I mean, I've watched like his dad's stuff, and I have the books. I actually looked back, I found a DVD that I bought a long time ago with Josh, and he was like this skinny doing Liberty work, and I thought, oh yeah, that's right, I learned this from Josh way back in the day. So
My book's 25 years old, I remember it, yeah.
yeah, so, and it's so fun to have him here. And what I really like about him and Jenna both, his wife, is that they're so personable. You know, you can ride with people as great as Josh, but they're not good teachers, or they're not personable. Like these, they're really compassionate about people. And I really got that from Josh. Like, he really wants to help you. Same with his wife. When I went to Scottsdale, she calls me the night before, wanting to make sure I have lunch for the day. I mean, just amazing people.
So sometimes in any event we're doing in horses, sometimes those world champions, those top 10 in the world, whatever, it seems untangible for a student to get to go ride with them. And when it's even such as yourself, you've trained how many colts, done how many clinics, a teacher, like Josh said, has to motivate and be tangible to people.
Yes.
Because we're dealing with a horse that does not talk, that can hurt us. And just tell us your value on that, why you're promoting better horsemanship and communication across the Dakotas in what you do, and bringing Josh here even highlights that more.
Well, you know, and there's just such a strong need for you. We all get people who get hurt by horses. I feel, and lack of horsemanship, not knowing what the horse is about, not knowing how to read the horse, being stuck in one discipline. And going back to Josh, why I like him so much is like he rode dressage horses. He's done just about everything. Like if there's a question, he can answer it. He's trained under John Lyons, his dad, and he's been going to clinics since he was a kid.
Well, and they had trick horses and
everything, and trained for the movie. And then he was the first person to be on the road to the horse when it was called In a Whisper back in the day. So I mean, it is just unbelievable the amount of horses that he has had his hands on, and stuff like that fascinates me, because you can have somebody that trains for one discipline, but there's not many that can do it all. And I can relate to that, because even with my own journey, I want to do it all, and I feel like I'm going to be 90 and I'm going to say, I want to do it all, and you just can't do it all. But it's nice to get to know all these disciplines and seeing how there is a relation to where it's all actually the same.
that's what I was going to ask. There's still a common denominator.
Yeah.
That horse still is at, as he said, you can start out at training $50 an hour.
Yeah.
But they're all $1 an hour horses, because they are all the same.
Yes.
At the end of the day, it's just how much they might take a little more work, but the communication is kind of the same, is what he was getting at, maybe.
Yeah. And another thing too is, so I'm also very compassionate about people, and that's what I love with Josh, because he likes to go over time, even teaching people, because he gets so into it, and I love that about him. And just like a small testimony yesterday too, we had some auditors asking a lot of questions, and Josh really, you know, even here I had his students, he sat down with them, and he really explained things to them. He doesn't brush people off. He doesn't tell me, oh, get rid of your horse, this horse, you can't have this horse. Like, he's really like, what do you want? And then I'm going to help you with this. And he don't go off track. A lot of people, and myself included, sometimes I do clinics and I get sidetracked with other things that I kind of lose a little track. Josh is very on track. He stays on track. If you say, this is the issue I have, he really, really listens to you, and makes you feel valued.
So thanks to Elsa B, she is helping the horse education, training process go a little bit better and safer. And I would highly think you would suggest, you go to a professional. He's doing this day in, day out, as are you.
Yes.
It just has some shortcuts when it comes to problem solving.
Yes.
Just like anything.
Yes, that's true.
So perfect. Elsa B, we will find you on your ranch next time. That's where we're heading out. But thank you for helping everybody, and thanks for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Remember, proper horsemanship is so very, very important for the horse as well as the rider. Whether it's at an event or out in the pasture, good horsemanship is so very critical. Josh Lyons, well, you can learn more about him at joshlyons.com, and be sure to follow his legacy on Facebook as well. I had an opportunity to spend some time with his dad, John Lyons, recently, and I can tell you that not only is he a knowledgeable horse trainer, but his faith is also very admirable as well. We just love the Lyons family. Coming up next, we're going to go to a night at the races. Yes, it's a fundraiser for the North Dakota